Hello people, how's it going? I figured after my last video on a more serious subject, I would do a less serious subject. I remember watching this movie as a kid, and for reasons beyond me, why does it keep stopping? Reasons beyond me, I thought it was World War One. Don't ask me why, but it is World War Two. As a kid, I was probably 10, somewhere around there, when I saw this film. It is a good movie. It is a very good movie describing the fear the British Navy, the Admiralty was having with this battleship. This thing was huge. This was a threat. It was quite the battleship. It's a good movie. It is a good movie. It shows it's not a lot of action per se. I mean, there are some good scenes of action fighting when the Bismarck sinks the hood, and the hood sank within seconds. I think there were only 3 survivors from the hood when they sank it. I think they damaged the Prince of Wales also with the hood. But I mean, yeah, the hood. But yeah, the hood just sunk. I mean, it just disappeared. That's when Churchill decided we must sink the Bismarck. You, the old as all, we shall now sink the Bismarck. Sink it. That is the command I'm telling you. I'll be paraphrasing, but you get the idea. He did say it. This is a very good movie. I like that movie. By the way, this character doesn't actually exist. He's not real. He's a fictional character they put in the movie for reasons, I suppose. But he doesn't actually exist in the actual command center. I do want to read a few things because I can. Sink the Bismarck is the 1960 black and white cinemascope British war film based on the 1959 book The Last 9 Days of the Bismarck by C.S. Forster. It stars Kenneth More, who plays a character who did not actually exist, and Dana Winter, who may or may not have existed, and was directed by Louis Gilbert. To date, it's the only film that deals directly with the operations, chasing and sinking the battleship Bismarck by the Royal Navy during the Second World War. Although the war films were common in the 1960s, Sink the Bismarck was seen as something as an anomaly, with much of its time devoted to the usual backroom planners as much as the combat themselves. It does. This film does deal with a lot of the war room stuff and looking for it and figuring a way to stop it and so on. There's not a whole lot of action in this film, but when the action is there, it is good. It is done very well. Let's see. Although war films were common in the 1960s, Sink the Bismarck was seen as something of an anomaly, which was much of the time devoted to the unsung backroom planners as much as the combatants themselves. Its historical accuracy, in particular, met with much praise despite a number of inconsistencies. And I will leave with the inconsistencies because there were some. But I mean, it was. Let's see. I just want to get the inconsistencies. Historical accuracy. Sink the Bismarck was made in Sink the Bismarck was made before 1975, when the British code breaking in Bletchley Park was classified, so it did not reveal the Shepherd's hunches that the movements of the Bismarck were supported by intelligence. Shepherd doesn't exist, by the way. Direction, finding, and traffic analysts show that on May 25th, Bismarck stopped talking to Wilhelmshaven and resumed with Paris. And Shepherd committed to believe that Bismarck was headed for the French coast. It takes a while to find out where Bismarck is going. I mean, it wasn't damaged yet, but they could not figure out where it was going. Probably the easiest place to go would be there. Problem is, the Kenneth More character, who is, Shepherd, doesn't exist. So it's like, they don't explain who this other person was, who really was happening. I think he was just sort of a caricature of a whole bunch of other people who found where the Bismarck was going, made the decisions to find out where it was going, figure out where it was going, how to sink it. Basically, the film does a very good job of showing the backroom stuff. The men behind it, the women behind it, trying to figure out where is the Bismarck, how are we going to sink this monster, and so on and so forth. Bismarck stopped talking to Wilhelmshaven and resumed with Paris. Shepherd committed to the belief that Bismarck was headed for the French coast, which it was. Radio switch from Wilhelmshaven to Paris might have been caused by Bismarck crossing the line between southern Greenland and northern Hebrides, which placed her under Group West instead of Group North. Nevertheless, Shepard's hunch was proven correct when, by luck, a Luftwaffe Enigma transmission was intercepted and decoded at Bletchley Park, revealing that Bismarck was headed for Brest to prepare for an oil leak, which is partly how they figured out where she was going. The oil leak didn't help. The Luftwaffe's Enigma code had been broken early in the war, unlike the German naval Enigma code, which was only broken later and was subject only to traffic analysis during the Bismarck pursuit. Damage during her battle with HMS Hood and HMS Prince of Wales caused flooding that put Bismarck's bow barely above sea level. Oil slicks caused by hits from the HMS Prince of Wales were apparent. In the film, Bismarck's bow remains at its normal height above sea level. That's one of the inconsistencies. Some minor errors involved the visual appearance of Bismarck. When a spy in Kristiansand, Norway, sees Bismarck arrive in Norwegian waters, sailing from the east, the ship is shown sailing from right to left, from the west. Bismarck has no apparent camouflage, but in fact, the ship still had striped Baltic camouflage along her sides, which was removed shortly before she headed out to sea. Also, photo reconnaissance Spitfires that photographs that Spitfire that photograph. This is not written well. That's part of the problem. Spitfires that photographed Bismarck and Prince Eugene in the fjord is shown as two different versions. So basically, they show two different scenes, each with different canopies. Other than these inconsistencies, this is a very good film. Sinking Bismarck supplies the movements of HMS Hood and HMS Prince of Wales in the battle. The film shows an early order to turn the to allow the British ships to fire full broadsides. In reality, they sought to close the distance, first presenting smaller targets to the German ship, but using only their forward gun turrets, which reduced their firepower advantage by 8 big guns, while Bismarck and Prince Eugene were firing full broadsides at their main guns. Of all their main guns, sorry. Film does not show that HMS Hood destroyed the other German ship for Bismarck. At the first firing at the wrong ship before correcting her fire. Only in her final moments did HMS Hood begin to turn to fire a broadside on Bismarck. HMS Hood was hit during this turn as she exploded. The turn presented Hood's deck armor at an angle more vulnerable to shell penetration, and as inside is the possible cause for the explosion and subsequent destruction, an issue the film does not cover. HMS Hood is shown firing to port while the Bismarck was shown firing to starboard. In fact, it was the other way around. Despite that fact, it blew the Hood out of the water. I mean, Bismarck was a monstrous ship. It really was. In one scene, legends speculates that after Bismarck had undergone repairs at Brest, the two German battleships based there, I'm not even going to try to say these names because I'm not German, could join Bismarck in raiding Allied shipping. There was no record of such a discussion at the time, although it would have been possible for Bismarck to sorting the two battleships if Bismarck had reached the port. Another historical deviation was made in depicting a night engagement between British destroyers and Bismarck. The film shows 3 British ships hit by torpedo, while the British destroyer HMS Solent is hit and destroyed by Bismarck. There is no destroyer named Solent. It was a made-up ship for the film. Operating on the Eastern Sea, blah blah blah. On May 26, a Royal Navy destroyer squadron led by Captain, later Admiral Philip V.N. and HMS Cossack did exchange fire during a successful torpedo attack, with Bismarck inflicting minor damage to the destroyers. The historic action of the attached Polish destroyer Drone, ex-Navy class HMS Noresia, was not depicted, although she sailed straight for Bismarck, signaling IMA pole as she went. None of her shots found the mark. The aircraft had finally located Bismarck after she escaped detection by the HMS Suffolk and the HMS Norfolk, strictly showed as a Catalina. But the fact that it was piloted by an American Naval Reserve officer, Ensign Leonard Smith, could not be real until long after the war, since the United States was was a neutral at the time of the engagement. The attacks by Fleet Admiral Swordfish, armed Swordfish, stop turning on, show some aircraft being shot down. No Swordfish lost to Bismarck. Guns all were recovered. However, HMS Victorious air raid, 2 foreign former escort fighters ran out of fuel and ditched. 3 flyers were picked up from a river boat. Let's see. Sink to Bismarck also does not show controversial events after Bismarck sank, including HMS Victorious quick departure after rescuing only 110 survivors because the British suspected a German U-boat was in the area and withdrew. Perhaps the most significant historical error is that the film places the British naval operation in the Admiralty, Whitehall, London. The actual center was an intelligence operation during the Battle of the Atlantic, and the pursuit of Bismarck was at Derby House, Liverpool. It also talks about how he really portrayed the German admiral and the German captain on the Bismarck. Not really how they were. The admiral was a little less of a Nazi than he's portrayed in the movie. Whereas the other guy is portrayed more of a Nazi than he is portrayed in the movie. It's like they switched the roles around. I don't want to read everything. Probably bores you enough as it is. I like this film, though. I mean, I know that's a lot of stuff, and I probably could have read it slower than I should have. But, let's see, Bismarck. Oh, that's Bismarck, North Dakota. I want Bismarck, North Dakota. I want Bismarck. Let's see. I just want to get the I don't think it was. Here we go. General characteristics of Bismarck. Class and type. Bismarck class battleship. Displacement. A lot. Length. It was 792 feet and 8 inches long. That's a big ass ship. Let's see. Propulsion speed was 30 knots. It had 103 officers. But I want to. I don't see that. Well, sorry, I don't know how to get rid of the glare. I got something to get rid of the glare. I think it's the glare from this. Let's see if I get a decent picture. See it? Probably not. I should have done a better job. But I like it. I think it does a good job of showing the German side and the British side. Yeah, it of course naturally doesn't, stick to the actual historical things on a few things. I mean, it does show the hood sinking awfully fast, and it does show the Prince of Wales. It shows the damage that the Bismarck did. The sad thing is that in the movie, the German admiral and the captain are kind of roles. Their characters are almost turned around. The admiral wasn't as big a Nazi as he's portrayed, and he wasn't as big a fan of Hitler as is portrayed in the movie. The other guy might have been, the captain was. So it kind of makes you kind of wonder why they would do that, because that was a big controversy about this film, is that they couldn't fix it, they turned it around. No good reason. But, I mean, in the spring of 1941, England is the only undefeated European nation who could stand up against Nazi Germany. The most powerful battleship in the world, the Japanese might disagree. The Bismarck, it's faster and more firepower than anything Britain can throw against it. It is heading towards the North Atlantic. This juggernaut of destruction must be stopped, and Churchill himself gives the order of the Royal Navy, sink the Bismarck at any cost. And he did say it. If you like history, you like naval history, you like World War II history, yeah, it has its historical flaws, but it does a pretty good job of a character study, even if that guy's character does not actually exist. And though Winston Churchill doesn't show up, but his voice shows up. It does a good job. And of course has a quasi almost romance between those two, but it doesn't. It barely exists in the film, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But I remember as a kid thinking for some reason this was World War I, and I don't remember why. But of course I figured out it wasn't. But I like this movie. I like the battle scenes. I like the battle scenes because they're done so well. And the acting is done very well. They're not all as bad as Braveheart. This is not Braveheart. This actually is a good film. Historically correct, probably about 90% of it. Okay, 75. I think 90. There was an ocean. There was a Bismarck. But they did make up a destroyer this thing. Come on. You think they wouldn't have done that, but they did. And it's just the movie 1960. Fox 4 classic. Excellent film. I don't know if you saw this on the back. I didn't read any of it, but I really have got to figure out a way to put pictures on the phone. Anyway, but yes, it is a good film. It is worth watching. It is worth having in your. I will try to do better next time. Well, thank you for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Behave yourselves. I'm not going to. See you later. See you later.